Alright, hey everyone, welcome to week 7 part B. Super exciting outline for part B. I know, we are going to cover one thing. The one thing we're going to cover is this thing called dictionaries. So let's get into it. Dictionaries. So this is going to be another type that we're going to talk about in the course. We've talked about a lot of types so far, now we're introducing another one. This one is called a dictionary. This is going to be another type that is a data storage container. So it's kind of like lists in that it is going to store a lot of pieces of data. It works slightly differently though. So in lists is just an ordered list, hence the name, of elements. In dictionaries, the elements come as pairs. So the pairs are keys and values. These key-value pairs are often referred to as mappings. The way it sort of works is that the key is mapped to a value, so they're sort of teamed up together. Alright, keys and values. So again, every key is going to be associated with a value. The way it works is you use the key to get the value. So the sort of use case for dictionaries is you already know what the key is, and you use the key to look up the information. You look up the value. Every key in a dictionary is unique. Now that is sort of necessary because you use the key to look up values. A couple things to sort of note about types. Keys can be strings, integers, or floating point values. Values can be of any type, so keys do have a little bit of a limit as to what they can be. The types that we've covered so far in this class, these are the types that keys can be: strings, integers, floats. Values, though, can be any type. Alright, let's first talk about some dictionaries in real life before we jump into some code examples, because I think this sort of concept of why you would use a dictionary is a little bit weird, so I want to make sure that's clear first. So again, the idea with a dictionary is that everything stored in it is a key-value pair. And again, the use case is you sort of already know what the key is and you use it to look up a value. So an example dictionary in real life is a dictionary. Go figure. So in a dictionary, the key is the word, right? So let's say you're reading a book and you come across a word that you don't know. You don't know what the definition of the word is, but you know the word because you read it in the book, right? You can see the word right there in front of you. So the key, in this case, is the word itself. You use that word to then go open up the dictionary and look for the word, and then next to the word will be the definition. So in this case, the key is the word, you know the key, and then you look up the value, which is the definition. Another example dictionary in real life would be a Starbucks card, or any really loyalty number card. In this case, the key would be the card number, right? You see your Starbucks card, you see the card number on it, no problem. And, you know, when you scan it with the cashier or whatever, they see the card number. The value might be something that you look up based on the card number. So maybe it's, you know, your loyalty points or your current balance or something like that. Phone book would be another real-life dictionary. So here the key would be the last name, right? You know the person's last name. And you say, hey, phone book, here's the last name, give me the phone number. So the value, the thing that you're looking up, would be the phone number. So again, the idea behind dictionaries is you have a key and a value, you know the key, and you use that to look up the value. So I want you to take a couple minutes, come up with two more sort of real-life examples of where you would use dictionaries, where you would use this sort of unique sort of key-value relationship, where you know what the key is, you want to look up something based on that key. The thing that you're looking up would then be the value. When you got your two examples, go ahead and come back to this video, unpause it, and we'll keep going from there. Alright. So, now let's talk about how dictionaries look in Python. So again, keep in mind, everything in a dictionary is going to be key-value pair. So here's an example dictionary. The dictionary is the thing on the right-hand side of this assignment statement. This is a typical assignment statement. Left-hand side is just the name of a variable. Right-hand side is the actual dictionary. So first thing I'll point out with dictionaries, Dictionaries use curly braces. So these are not the same as the square brackets. They are not the same as parentheses. These are curly braces. Each key value pair is separated by a comma. And then within the key value pairs, the key comes first, then a colon, then the value. So here's an example here. One of the elements, one of the key value pairs in this dictionary is barb 16. In that key value pair, the key is barb, which is a string. The value is 16, which is an integer. So again, everything in a dictionary comes in a pair. All of these elements are separated by commas. Within each element, within each pair, there are two things separated by a colon. First thing is the key, second thing is the value. Alright, so let's talk about how you then retrieve a value from a dictionary, right? Because that's sort of the point of dictionaries, is you can use them to look up values once you know what the key is. So the first thing I'm going to point out about dictionaries is that these key value pairs, they're not necessarily going to be saved in the order that you'd expect, right? So with lists, when you type out stuff in a list, it's ordered, right? The stuff that you type in it, it's saved in that particular order. When you type out a dictionary, your pairs, your key value pairs, their order isn't necessarily going to be saved. And that's okay, because we don't really care about the order in dictionaries. We just care about that the right keys are mapped to the right value. So we just care that everything is mapped together. We just care that the pairs stick together. The order isn't necessarily going to stay the same all the time, though. So keeping that in mind, because there really isn't an order to dictionaries, you can't use a numeric index to get a value. Meaning, like with lists, if you wanted to look up something at position, at index 2, you would just say, hey, list index square bracket 2, that would give you the element at index 2. With dictionaries, to look up a value, you use the key, right? We talked about this, right? A real life dictionary, the key is the word, you know the word, you use the word to look up the definition. So again, ordering doesn't really matter in the dictionary, instead you use the keys to look up the value. So this is the general form of doing that. So here, the variable, dictionary variable, that is a dictionary. That's going to be maybe a variable that refers to the dictionary. And then you use square brackets. So it's going to be a lot like the indexing operator with lists, except the thing that you put in the square brackets, it's not going to be a number necessarily. It's going to be whatever the key is. So again, you're looking up the value. So you use the key to look it up. And key is going to be one of the keys that's in the dictionary. So if the key exists, this will return the value, this line of code right here. So for example, you could put this into a variable. Now something to keep in mind though, if the key does not exist, this will error. So just sort of keep that in mind. If you try to look up a key, value pair in the dictionary using a key that does not exist, you will get an error message. Alright, so here's an example. This first line, this is an assignment statement. This is the same example dictionary we saw a couple slides ago. And then I say, okay, make a new variable called age. And then on the right hand side, the value that we're going to put into this variable age, we're going to go ahead and look up in the dictionary named ages, what is at Nancy? So here, Nancy is the key. And when we say ages square bracket Nancy, that is going to give us the value that is associated with Nancy. So in this case, age is 17. So when we print age plus 10, we're going to get 27. So again, this is how you can look up the value associated with the key in the dictionary. Alright, so you know how I mentioned that if you try to look up something in a dictionary whose key doesn't exist, you'll get an error message. Well, you can use in and not in to prevent those error messages. So in and not in works kind of the same way as it does for strings and lists, except with dictionaries it checks to see if the key is in the dictionary or not in the dictionary. So this example right here, this is showing how you can do a quick in check to make sure that this key will is in the dictionary before you try to access the value associated with the key. So in this case, our dictionary, you can see poor will has been left out and is not actually in our dictionary. So if we did not do this if will and ages check and we just did print ages square bracket will, that would give us a nice red error message. But instead, since I do this check, it's only going to try to print ages will if will is actually in the dictionary, which we can see is not. Otherwise, it will print out a nice message that just says, hey, will's not in the dictionary. So again, in and not in, super useful for preventing these error messages. And again, in and not in, these are going to check to see if the key is in the dictionary. So once you make a dictionary, they are mutable, which means you can change them. So that means you can edit key value pairs after creation. So let's say you have a dictionary and you put stuff in it, and then later on you want to say, hey, I want to change it so that this key now has a new value, or I want to put in a brand new key and value pair. This is how you do it. And this is how you do it for both if you want to edit the value of a key that already exists, or if you want to add in a brand new key value pair. It works for both of those scenarios. So you do dictionary square bracket key equals value, and then here key and value is whatever the new key and value are going to be. So again, keys are unique. So again, if the key already exists in the dictionary, what this line of code will do, it will update the key value pair so that it has this new value on the right hand side instead. If this key is not in the dictionary already, again, it will make a brand new key value pair and put it into our dictionary. So this is a pretty useful line of code. Again, this is how you add a new key value pair into a dictionary. This is also how you update the value of an existing key value pair in a dictionary. Alright, so here's a quick example. Go ahead, take a minute or two, try this out on your own, and come back, unpause the video when you are ready to talk about it. Alright, so in this example here, we have an assignment statement. This first line of code is an assignment statement. It says, hey, this variable data is going to get this dictionary. Now this dictionary, this first line of code, that is the empty dictionary. This is the dictionary that has nothing in it, but it's still a type dictionary. Cool. Then we have a list, fee, fi, fo, fum. So this is a list of strings. We store this list into the variable values. And then I say num equals 2. And then I say for item and values, do all this stuff. Alright, so for item in values, that means we're going to iterate through every single element in this list values. So the first time around, item will be fee. Then it'll be fi. Then it'll be fo. Then it'll be fum. And when we first do this iteration, item will be fee. So we're saying data square bracket item equals num. So item is fee. This line of code, data square bracket item equals num. This is how we add a key value pair into our dictionary data. So the key in this case is item, which is fee. So the key is fee, and the value is num, which is 2. So one of the key value pairs is going to be fee as the key, and 2 as the value. And then this loop will keep going. It'll add 3 to num, so num will now be 5. Then we'll do a loop, so the next time around, num is now 5, item is now fee, or sorry, item is now phi, not phi. Read that wrong. Item is now phi. It's the second value in that list of values. So the next time around, we'll have data phi equals 5. So that means the next key value pair will be phi and the number 5, where phi is the key and the number is 5. Next key value pair, the key will be fo and the number will be 8. Next key value pair, key will be fum and the value will be 11. If you want to see that for yourself, you can go ahead and run this code, and at the very end, just print out data. Just print out that dictionary for you. So again, phi is the key. It'll be mapped to 2. Phi will be mapped to 5. Fo will be mapped to 8. Fum will be mapped to 11. Do let me know if you have any questions about this. Alright, now let's talk about iterating. So iterating, again, is a way to sort of go through everything. So you can go through everything in a dictionary. Now the caveat is, when we're dealing with dictionaries, when I say go through everything, this will just go through all of the keys in a dictionary. So for some variable in dictionary, the variable will get one at a time the keys. So for example, we're going back to the same dictionary example, and then I say for item in ages, print item. So again, this will display the keys one at a time. And again, these keys are going to be Barb, Dustin, and Nancy. Again, key takeaway from this, keyword key, when you iterate through stuff in a dictionary, it just gives you the keys. It does not give you the full key value pair, it just gives you the keys. That said, if you want to look up the value as you're iterating, you can do this sort of, value lookup operator that we talked about earlier, which is sort of the same as indexing in a list, except you use the key to look it up. So in this case, we have a for loop that is iterating through all the names, right? So the loop variable that I'm using here is name. So every time this loop goes, we'll get a new name. We'll get Barb, then Dustin, then Nancy. Probably the order might be different. So if we wanted to print the name, we just say, hey, print name. But if we want to print the values here are those integers 16, 13, 17. If we wanted to print those values, we have to do this extra step, this extra lookup, where we say, hey, I know the key. It's whatever is stored in this variable name, and I'm going to look up the value associated with this key, name, in the dictionary, ages, by using this sort of lookup trick that we talked about earlier in this video. So again, dictionaries are organized by keys. If you iterate through a dictionary, it's going to iterate through the keys. So if you want to iterate through all the values, you have to do this sort of extra key value lookup step, as shown here in bold. We already saw an example of the empty dictionary. This is just formally defining it. So to create a dictionary with nothing in it, you just use the curly braces, nothing else. And again, this is very useful if you want to build data into a dictionary as your code runs. And we saw an example of that a couple slides ago with the phi, phi, fo, fum, and the numbers. That said, just like everything else that we talk about in this class, there's a lot more stuff that you can learn, and it's all hosted in the Python docs. So if you want to learn more about dictionaries, you can check that out. That said, in addition to everything that we talked about just now, you should also be familiar with these three things. Length, which you can probably guess what that does, this delete, del, and then this clear method as well. So do take some time to look those up. If you have any questions about them or anything in this video, please do let me know.